So this is the last of the series of videos just about basic applique and a couple of different techniques for you to have a go at. So this is aimed towards a class that I'm starting in September as my regular treasure quilt classes, and we're going to be looking at applique and then how we're going to use that with some quilting, very loosely bound towards trapunto. But anyway, hopefully it will work. So what we've done so far is, this was my background fabric, and to start with I drew my pattern onto the picture that I was going to do, and the first two sections, the clouds, we applied using reverse applique. So the right side of the fabric was facing down underneath the machine with the backing fabric over the top, which had the shape drawn on with pencil. I then machined around that with the wrong side of the fabric facing me, and then cut away the excess on the front. So it's a raw edge applique, which you can see. I used a zigzag stitch for that one, then turned it back over and took away the excess of the background fabric. So that's gone to this, that's reverse applique. So the two clouds were done in that way. Now, then what I did, the shapes to make the boat, I traced those shapes, so the body of the boat and the two sails, I traced them onto freezer paper, and using heat from a dry iron, pressed them onto the fabrics that I wanted for the three areas, and then peeled the freezer paper off and just used a bit of fabric glue to hold them in place. You could use Bondaweb or Heat and Bond, but I didn't want to do that because of what we're going to do with the quilting. And then I've used just a slight curvy stitch to hold in place, because there's going to be a lot of stitching going around these areas when we do the quilting. So those three pieces are in. So there was nothing to cut away from them because they were the exact sizes and shapes we wanted, and they were sewn onto the front. So they were put in place where they were going to go. They don't quite match up with where they were on the back, but it doesn't matter. So then I cut away the excess fabric on the back, so not going close to the stitch line, but that's on the back. Now the last technique is I cut a wavy line to represent some waves. I used the selvage edge because I thought that looked a bit like froth on the top of and I have just again used a wavy stitch, and I've sewn quite roughly all the way around. Now for this one, I'm not going to cut away the backing. I'm going to leave that in place because I want a different texture to the waves when we finish. So that's the applique section of this project. It's quite naive, I think would be the right description, but for what I want it for, it's going to work. So it's going to end up as a child's cushion. Obviously it won't be quite as big. So it's ready for its next stage.